Okay, girls. You're here because you are on the verge of flunking. And personally, I want you all to pass because I don't want anyone in the Supplementary Lessons Department to repeat an entire grade. Okay? Alright, let's start with attendance. Ajitani-kun, are you here?
至らない私ですが、よろしくお願いします。
Orawa-kun.
はい。
Okay. Shimawe-kun?
何するつもり？
Alright, chill. Jesus. Okay, Shiraisu-kun. Why are you wearing a mask?
ごめん。
Sorry I'm late. It's a jungle out there. I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get the...
Okay, fine. Take your seat. Today's guide video will showcase the eye switch of the Supplementary Lessons Department, Shiraisu Asusa. Since she's a newly transferred student, Asusa is currently in this club along with Hifumi, Hanako, and Koharu to catch up with their studies. In order to graduate from this club, they must pass at least 1 out of 3 exams. Everything is going smoothly so far, so there's nothing to be worried about, right? Right? In this guide video, I will tell you everything about Azusa and her capabilities as an explosive AR striker. I'll discuss her skills, equipment, and her priorities. Prepare your plushies, cause...
かわいい。
First, let's discuss Azusa's archetype. She's an explosive assault rifle striker with increased damage on indoor areas and reduced damage on outdoor areas. As an AR striker, all of her stats are pretty average, but her fire rate is high. At 3-star level 75 without any equipment and affection, Azusa has 1,786 attack, 93 defense, 19,883 HP, 201 crit rate, and 650 attack range, which is the typical range for AR strikers. Increasing her rarity to 5 stars will increase her attack to 2,240. In comparison, Asusa has the lowest attack amongst her fellow explosive AR users, Terika, Shiroko, and Akai. Despite this fact, why is Asusa one of the most broken characters in Blue Archive? We will see why through her skills and equipment. Her EX skill is called Intellect Mortem, which is translated to This EX skill deals damage from 1065% to 2023% of her attack to a single enemy. This huge multiplier compensates with her below average attack. Her EX skill is excellent in sniping boss enemies, especially in the Hieronymus and Kaiten raid. Her basic skill is called Sagitta Mortis, which is translated to Arrow of Death. Every 30 seconds, she deals damage from 292% to 468% of her attack to a single enemy and reduces their defense by 18.9% to 24.6% for 20 seconds. This may be a simple debuffing skill, but we will see its synergy with her other skills. Her hand skill is called Harsh Training, and this skill increases her crit rate by 14% to 26.6%. And finally, her sub-skill is called Target Weakness, and this skill increases her damage against debuffed enemies from 46.6% to 88.5%. Debuffed enemies are the ones with at least one debuff inflicted on them. Attack down, defense down, burn, poison, crit down, target focus, you name it. So, if Asusa uses her basic skill against a boss and she uses her EX skill, she can deal a lot of damage to that enemy. But no, that scenario is way too specific and it's pretty hard to pull it off, especially if there are mobs around. Is there any way to trigger her sub-skill without relying on her basic skill? We're going to discuss that later. Asusa's kit revolves around dealing a tremendous amount of damage to a single enemy. Because of this, her EX skill takes the highest priority, followed by her sub-skill, which provides more damage against debuffed enemies, followed by her basic, and then her enhanced skill. Her enhanced skill takes the lowest priority because we can raise her crit rate with her equipment. Asusa equips a pair of gloves, a hairpin, and a watch. The gloves give her attack percentage, crit rate at tier 4, and accuracy at tier 6. The watch gives her more crit rate, crit damage at tier 4, and a little bit of HP percentage at tier 5. The hairpin gives max HP and CC resistance at tier 4. For her equipment priority, it's the usual order. Go for the gloves, the watch, and then the hairpin. Asusa's unique equipment is her signature assault rifle at Omnia Vanitas, which is an excerpt from the quote Vanitas Vanitatum Omnia Vanitas, which means vanity of vanities, all is vanity, in which philosophy of nihilism stands on.
This is reflected in Azusa's belief that everything leads to nothing, and thus everything is simply empty.
Nihilism comes from the Latin nihil, or nothing, which means not anything, that which does not exist, in which all values are baseless, and that reason is impotent. It appears in the verb annihilate.
That was quite a strong belief coming for a 16-year-old student. Although she believes that despite everything being empty, it doesn't mean that she will never give her best. Anyway, at 2 stars, her hand skill Harsh Training is upgraded to Harsh Training Plus. Aside from the crit rate buff, this upgraded skill further increases her crit rate by flat 100 to 190. At 3 stars, her area affinity towards indoor areas is upgraded from S to SS. And yes, in order to unlock her UE, we first need to increase her rarity to 5 stars by obtaining 220 of her left. To raise her UE to 3 stars, we need 320 of her left. I didn't mention this on the first 3 guide videos that I had, but increasing her UE's level will give her bonus attack and HP, capping at 454 and 3,495 respectively at 3 stars level 50. To see if Asusa is actually good, let's point out her strengths and weaknesses. Her single target damage is extremely impressive, especially if the target's debuff. Much better if that debuff is a different strength. Because of this, she's excellent in the 2 red raids, the Kaidengers and the Hieronymus. With the right setup and skill timing, she can produce a lot of numbers with Asusa. With her crit rate oriented equipment set, her sub-skills damage modifier, and her tremendous EX skill scaling, we can conclude that Azusa is probably one of the best explosive units in the game. But what about her weaknesses? She's great at dealing single target damage, but she probably needs some assistance when it comes to mob clearing. Even though she can inflict a defense break against someone with her basic skill, it could be unreliable, especially on stages where the boss is periodically spawning mobs to back them up. And since it's a basic skill, you cannot proc it on demand. In order to mitigate that, you might need to bring a debuffer with her. While she shines in PvE and raids, Asusa can stand out in PvP. Given her 5-cost EX skill and the meta, in which most people have Tsubaki as their main tag, Asusa will have a hard time dominating PvP. Let's compare Asusa with her fellow explosive AR star. Shirasu is a good unit for skill cycling due to her cheap EX skill, and unlike Asusa's EX skill that will pierce the soul out of the target, Shirasu's drone switches its target when the initial enemy is already down. Sarika, just like her colleague, is also a good unit for skill cycling with her 2-cost EX skill. In comparison with Azusa, Sarika uses her EX skill to increase her damage output and speed of her normal attacks. Since her EX skill is really cheap and you can just use her skill to rotate, you don't usually realize that she's dealing a lot of damage until you see her graph. And that's why she's one of the best 2 stars in the game. Akari's kit involves gaining attack steroids and dealing AoE damage. Although her basic skill and sub-skill figures 10% of the time when she's dealing normal attacks, remember that assault rifles have a higher fire rate compared to most weapon types. In conclusion, is Asusa actually broken? Absolutely. Her kit synergy is great, and her damage scaling is absolutely broken. She shines the most in red raids where she can focus all of her attacks on one target. She's excellent not only in raids, but also in general combat. She might have a few limitations, but it can be easily filled out by her teammates. I don't really share my subjective thoughts if you should pull for a unit on this guide video series, but I could definitely tell you that she's worth your piracy. Her best teammate right now is Akane, which has an EX skill that shreds the defense of a single target. Pair this with a damage amplifier units like Kotama and Ako, and you can deal an immense amount of damage with your EX skill. And that's it for Asusa's guide video. Given her kit, her damage scaling, and her capabilities in PvE and raids, we could say that Asusa is a great unit to have on your roster. Asusa is definitely a proof that even though everything may seem empty, with great power comes big boy numbers. Anyway, which student should I showcase next? Leave your suggestions in the comments below. And also, if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you doing? Go sub now and follow my Twitch on twitch.tv/tomogumode. That's it for now, and see you next time.